with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.
Hello everyone and fellow dreamers, welcome to my channel Lauren's Floating Lights. It is time for the Disney UK Cultural Representative Programme applications to open, and I'm here to tell you all about the programme, how to apply, where to do it, what you should include in your application, and all of the resources and more. I just want to start off by saying this video includes all of my own advice. It is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or with Yummy Jobs. This is just my own personal experience that I want to share with you to help you when you apply. The Disney UK Cultural Representative Programme is a 12-month magical opportunity. If you're from the UK, if you're British, you get to move to Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida to make magic for the mouse and to work in either food and beverage or in merchandise in Epcot in the UK Pavilion. To do this programme, you don't need to be in college, you don't need to be at university or to have a degree. You just need to be 18 and over, be a British citizen and from the UK, and to be able to authentically represent your home country. I've done 2 Disney international programs now. I've done 2 Disney CRPs. I first worked there in 2018 to 2019, and I also worked there in 2022, and I had a program which was extended by 6 weeks, so I got to work there until January of 2024, which I am so grateful for, and I can't believe I got to have that extra time making magic. The reason that we can only work in the UK Pavilion in Epcot is because our job is to bring the cultural authenticity to the park, to share our home magic and our family traditions, our British memories with guests, to tell them all about our country. And on the college program, you can be placed anywhere across Disney property, but on the CRP, it's just in the UK Pavilion in Epcot. The food and beverage and merchandise roles in the UK Pavilion are a little bit different. So personally, I just did food and beverage. So I worked on podium for around 6 months on my first program, and then I did 6 months of service. On my second program, I did about 8 months on podium and 4 months in service. So podium includes greeting and seating guests at the Rose and Crown pub and dining room. It also includes serving beer on the beer cart, which is my favorite. It's so much fun on podium. I just love it. It's so chatty and great. You can also do the fish and chip shop register and the fish and chip shop fill. So you're filling the orders for the guest, and you will also do stocking as well. So you'll change the kegs at the restaurant, and for the bar and for the fish and chip shop, you'll restock all the condiments, you'll restock the beer cups, all of that. You'll just help run the UK Pavilion, and it would not run without you. After you are on podium for a certain amount of time, on both of my programs, I was very fortunate enough to be able to move up into service. So this is when you become a server at the Rose and Crown pub and dining room, and you serve guests. You serve them as you would in the UK, however, you do it the Disney way. So there's a high Disney standard of doing service, and you also are able to have that amazing connection with guests that you wouldn't necessarily get in a quick service location like the fish and chip shop. So where do you begin? How do you apply for the Disney Cultural Representative Programme? You are going to Google a company called Yummy Jobs. They will change your life forever in the best way. They are in charge of the recruitment for Disney for candidates from the UK for the Disney Cultural Representative Programme, for the other programs as well. The applications actually open on the 5th of February 2024, and they close on the 9th. So that is the next round of applications that are going to be happening. If you're watching this in future, you might know that the applications are opening again. If not, if you're unsure as to when they are next opening, keep an eye on the Yummy Jobs social media channels such as Instagram and TikTok, as they always post about when the programs are opening. So that's where you need to watch. So according to their website, to be able to be eligible for the program, you have to be at least 18. There is no age gap. I worked with people that were 45, in their 50s. I worked with 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 35. It honestly doesn't matter. You have to have a valid passport for at least 16 months after your program, be available for the whole program, the whole 12 months, be able to represent the UK in the best way, and of course have strong skills in either food and beverage, merchandise or guest services. You just have to be able to be that perfect cast member for guests. When I applied, this was the application process. So when the applications opened, I made a Yummy Jobs profile with a picture, with my name, and I answered questions about my culture, about my experience in food and beverage or merch, and also about why I wanted to be a Disney cast member. I tailored my application to be fitted around food and beverage, as my experience was highly in that field. So of course I wouldn't have been disappointed if I'd have been put in merchandise, but food and beverage was for me. I loved it. I loved the fast pace. I loved the energy. I loved the demand, the stressful situations. I loved it. So that's what I wanted to do. So when I applied, I said I would love to be a food and beverage cast member. It asked me, which did you prefer on a scale of 1 to 10? And that was a kind of summary of what they ask you on your Yummy Jobs application if it's the same as when I applied. As well as that, they're of course going to ask you for a CV and a cover letter. These are so important. These are the things that they look at before they even meet you, before they talk to you, before they get to know you. They are going to see who you are through these 2 pages. For your CV, don't worry if you don't have experience in food and bev or merch. Of course it is preferred, but definitely just make yourself shine in whatever you've done before. So for my second program, I had a lot of different things that I wanted to talk about in my CV. I talked about Chester Zoo, which is one of the biggest companies in the UK, which is similar to a theme park. So I talked about working for millions of guests. I included the word guests because that is a Disney term. I talked about the fact that I worked during busy holidays. I talked about our hometown culture of Chester. I talked about so many different things, but then I moved on to the Disney store because I worked in merchandise as a Disney store cast member during the time between my first CRP and my second. So while I was applying for my second, when I was talking about merchandise, I said I did cash handling. I worked with storytelling, so I related the products to Disney stories. I welcomed guests into the Liverpool store who were docking on the cruise ships and were visiting from all over the world. I worked on upselling. I did some visual merchandise stuff. I just made sure that I related it back to the Disney legacy and to how that would work well with the guests in the UK pavilion. I was also a digital marketing manager, so I included this in my CV, and I talked about representing brands all over the world, working with numerous clients, having to have time management, being the face of these brands on social media, and I just twisted that into a Disney magical way, and I made sure that Disney and Yummy Jobs knew what skills I had to bring to the team. In my cover letter, I spoke about how Disney was going to further my career. When I first applied, I spoke about how it's influenced me in the past, the present, and the future, and you're looking at my future right now. This is who I wanted to be all those years ago. So that really helped me find a structure. You don't have to write it like that, but that's what helped me. It's also important to find the right balance between talking about the fact that you want to work at Disney and why Disney for you, but also the fact that you want to be a British cultural representative. Talk about your hometown, talk about what you want to share with guests, a bit of a storytelling moment for you, and just make sure that it has a good balance and it's not too, I want to go to Disney on my days off and I want to go to the parks and I want to be in Epcot. It has to be a balance of both. You've now submitted your application. What happens next? You'll get an automated email from Yummy Jobs saying thank you for applying, and they will get back to you in a couple of weeks or so. This is such a hard time to not refresh your emails 50 times a day. Trust me, I've been there and it drove me insane, but just be patient. They'll get back to you when they can. And they're either going to say you're through to the next round or they're not continuing with your application. If it's a no, it's just a not right now, okay? Go back, review it, get some more experience in food and bev or merch. Just really think about if you want to do this and if you want to apply next time applications reopen, because you can. Please don't be disheartened because thousands of people apply and this might just not be your time right now. Everything happens for a reason. If you are successful, amazing, congratulations. You'll be sent through to the pre-screen interviews with Yummy Jobs. This is my pre-screen interview experience. I traveled down from Liverpool to Epping in Essex at the time. That's where the Yummy Jobs office was. And I had a full day of being with other candidates, and we had a group interview, and we also had an individual interview at their office. And it was so magical. They sat us down, they did a presentation about the program, they just really got us hyped up, they asked us questions. Like, it was just a chance to get friendly and feel relaxed with other people. But trust me, do not compare yourself to anyone else. When you go to that interview, you're going to be surrounded by other people that want the same job as you and they have that same dream as you. But please do not compare yourself to anyone else. I remember during my pre-screen, during the break, I went across the street to the coffee shop and I was like, oh my God, everyone is amazing. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I was just so stressed, and I put my headphones in and I listened to Festival of Fantasy. And I was like, Lauren, you want this so bad. Like, do not even think that you're not good enough, because you are, and you have thought about this every day for so long. Like, this is your time. And then I went back to the interview after the break, and I was like, went into my one-to-one interview, and I felt so relaxed and so confident and so chatty, just like this. And I will never forget that interview. It was such a positive experience for me. During that day, Yummy Jobs did ask us to bring an object that related to our hometown / city / culture. And I took a train ticket. It was a train ticket from Bromborough on the Wirral to Liverpool, because I'm from the Wirral and it's 20 minutes outside of Liverpool. And I am so proud of the fact that I could just hop on a train and go to the city centre of where the Beatles came from, Liverpool Football Club. Eurovision was there last year. I had so much to talk about and had so many memories about Liverpool. So I took a train ticket and I told my little group interview team about Liverpool and about the Wirral. Don't think too much about the actual object. It's more about what you say about it. After the pre-screen interview, I went home and waited to hear back if I'd gotten through to the final interview, which I did, of course, in 2017. It's so long ago. So I actually was going to the headquarters in London, the Disney HQ. So exciting. And I went there in October. So I believe my pre-screen interview was August, and I didn't go down until it was the end of September or beginning of October. And that's where I had my interview with Disney, with the head of Disney recruitment, and that was awesome. I dressed very smartly. Make sure you dress smartly if you get through to the interview. I did a bit of Disney magic. I put a Pascal pin and a Rapunzel pin on my blazer. You know, I made sure my hair was out my face, representing myself in the best way possible. We got to look around the HQ, which is so special and so cool. There's so much in there that is just, as a Disney fan, your heart just soars. And then I had my interview, and it was so magical, and I had to answer questions like, are you comfortable living away from home? Are you comfortable working in extreme heat? Because in Florida, it gets unbearably hot in the summer, like insane. So of course I was fine with that. I love the sun. I repeated reasons as to why I wanted to work for Disney, like why the CRP, why me. Talked about their Disney career. I asked the recruiter, you know, where they started at Disney, and I showed interest in their career because I genuinely love hearing about other cast member experiences. After the final interview, you'll head home and you'll sit and wait and wait and wait to hear back from Disney as to whether you've got a date, whether you're on the wait list, or whether you are not going forward with your application. This is what happened to me. I felt like I waited forever, but it wasn't. It was only a couple of weeks, and again, was refreshing my emails every day. And if you're successful, they send you this email. This exact email with the subject line, congratulations, in giant capital letters. And I was meant to be going to the cinema with my friends, and I had gotten ready, did my makeup and everything. I was about to leave, and my phone started blowing up. Everyone in the group chat from the applications was like, the emails are going out, they're going out. And I was like, oh my God. So I didn't look at my phone. I wanted to see it on a screen if I got through or not. So I loaded up my laptop. I sat on my bed, and I remember thinking like, please, my voice is cracking. I was like, please, please, please. And I clicked on my emails, and it said congratulations in huge letters. And I remember thinking, I'm moving to Disney World, and I ran downstairs, and I didn't say anything. I didn't speak. I just handed my mum my laptop. and she read it and she shrieked and burst into tears with me, and I didn't go to the cinema. I said to my friends, I was like, oh guys, sorry I can't make it, I've got something going on, and I obviously told them after, but I was sobbing with joy. And if you get that email, I'm so excited for you. If you're waitlisted, that's fine. They're finding a space for you. Just have patience. If they decide not to go forward with your application, please don't give up on the dream, because I know so many people that applied again and again and again, and then they got through, or they applied like 2, 3, 4. I met someone that applied 7 times on my first program, and she was on the program at the same time as me. So never give up. If you really want it, don't put your life on hold. Go about, live the rest of your life, but make sure that you keep thinking about it and you put everything that you can into the application. Just don't lose hope. After you receive that email that says congratulations, you'll be given a date. You have to accept that contract with Disney. Read through, what did you get, food and beverage or merchandise, and you'll see the pay, you'll see your start date, and you have to accept it. Accept the contract, you have to. You'll be given lots of information on like login details and stuff like that. But after that's done, you'll have to pay your program fees, which are between like $500 and $900. Just be aware of that. I'm going to talk about finances as well. And then you have to book like your visa appointment in London at the embassy. You have to book your DBS background check. You have to start thinking about hotels and flights and all of that stuff. But you're moving to Walt Disney World. Let's talk about finances. So this is a very important part of the program that people often don't talk about on social media, because it's usually just the highlights. But when you're going onto your program, as I just mentioned, you have to pay some program fees before you actually arrive. So you have to pay for things like your flights. Disney do not pay for your flights. You have to pay for your hotel for when you arrive, because if you're flying from the UK, you should arrive at least the day before so that you can move into housing in a timely manner. You also have to pay for program enrollment fees. So this includes events that Disney program housing puts on for you throughout the year. You also have to pay for your first week of rent. Be prepared to spend at least $1,000, like at least $1,000 to $1,500 or pounds or whatever. But for me, I was just working as hard as I could, and I saved and I saved and I saved, because I envisioned that universal annual pass, those staycays, like the food. I wanted to do everything. So I envisioned all of that, and I just worked as hard as I could and worked as many hours as I could in preparation for the finances and all of that. Finances while you're on the Disney program. So you're going to live at either Disney's Flamingo Crossings Village East or Flamingo Crossings Village West. They are both part of the same housing accommodation complex, but they're just split into two. So one is like a 10-minute walk away from the other, or like a 2-minute bus journey on the Disney housing buses. You're gonna pay rent, and that comes out of your weekly paycheck. My rent personally for a 2x4 apartment, which you can see right here in the video of my complex tour, that included me living with 3 other girls. I opted for same-sex apartments, so I just live with women. And I had an apartment which included a shared bathroom with one other person and my own bedroom. And for that, I paid $211 per week out of my wages. So that automatically came out of my paycheck from Disney. That I never touched, it just went out automatically, and that just made life easier, to be honest. That weekly rent includes electricity, it includes water, housing events, you can use the gyms, the pools, and the little workspaces. You can, live your life at Disney. It's great. I know it seems like a lot, however, the housing is beautiful. It's so much better than the old Disney housing. I used to live at Vista Way. So if you want to look at Vista Way, you need to Google that. As well as rent, you also pay towards Disney's medical insurance for at least the first few months while you find your feet, and then you can go your own way with your own medical insurance if you like. You also pay for groceries if you want things like that are cute in your bedroom, make your apartment very nice and homey. You have to buy all of those things yourself. So just keep that in mind for when you're moving out. Just save up a little bit so you can buy like bed sheets and a lamp and fairy lights and hangers and all that good stuff. And you just want to make sure that you're cozy and comfortable when you arrive. In terms of hourly wage, I was on $18 an hour on podium, and then once I worked to be a server, passed my test and became a server, I was then on a reduced hourly wage. I think it was like $7 an hour, because you get to keep your tips. It's completely different for everyone, but just remember, you're there to make magic, you're there to make memories, and everything else is a bonus, of course. Speaking of bonuses, these are some of the perks that you get by being a Walt Disney World cast member. Oh my God, this is the best thing ever. You get a main entrance pass to go to Walt Disney World for free because you work there. With your main entrance pass, you can go to the parks before work, on your days off. You can just enjoy going to the resorts. You can just scan into Magic Kingdom, get a Starbucks and sit on the hub grass, watch the parade. You've got time, you've got all the time to do it. And that's one of the best things for me about the program. Definitely make a Disney program bucket list. Make sure you prioritize the things that you want to do. And you'll notice you'll get to do things that you wouldn't normally have time for on a vacation, because you have a whole year. As well as the main entrance pass for yourself, you also get 3 guest passes. So you can scan up to 3 people into the parks for 16 calendar days a year. So if your family come out to visit you, you can let them into the parks. It's amazing. It does include blockout dates though, just like the regular main entrance pass, because you're scanning them in personally. So the cast member has to be there. As I said, that's only for 16 calendar days per year. So every time you use one of those guest passes, a day is taken off because it's been used. So whether you use 1 guest pass or 2 or 3, all 3 of them will have a day taken off. I hope that makes sense. You also get discount on a lot of things being a cast member, including restaurants, activities, merch. Oh my God, they have a holiday discount and you get like 50% off. 50%. It's absolutely wild. It's insane. On my first program, I did buy a lot of merch. However, on my second, I did restrict myself because, you know, I just didn't need that much stuff. However, one of my favorite perks about the job is actually my name tag, because I'm so proud every day, or I was so proud every day, to wear that name tag. There are a couple of other resources that I want to share with you to do with the Disney CRP, and where you can get excited about the program and hear advice and just follow along with the stories of cast members. So the first one I'm going to recommend to you is Confessions of a Disney Cast Member podcast. My friends Bradley and Sophie were cast members. Sophie still is a cast member right now on the CRP, and they made a podcast during lockdown, and they interviewed so many cast members, like hundreds of cast members, who shared their story of their programs and about their cast member experiences. But they recently did an episode all about applications opening back up, and you can hear that on Spotify, Confessions of a Disney Cast Member. The second one that I want to share with you is my friend Charlie, also known as Charlie's New World on YouTube. This is a little look at his profile. He is a Disney cultural representative right now in 2024, and he is smashing it. He is such a genuine, lovely human being. He had never been to the United States before, and he's currently on his first program, and he is just such an amazing example of being a cast member and enjoying every minute of the CRP. So definitely check him out. Give him a follow, watch his vlogs. He is so lovely and you'll love following along with him. Of course, I have to let you know as well, I have CRP vlogs on my channel. I share a lot of daily magic on my Instagram, laurensfloatinglights. And I am going to share with you some of the questions that I recently got asked about the CRP through my Instagram in a little Q&A. One of the questions someone asked me was about a career break. Like, how do you have the confidence to take a career break when you're in a financially stable position, but you want to work at Walt Disney World? Disney is one of the best things you could ever have on your CV or your resume. Disney just excels you as a person. So even though after my first program, I came home, then I went into marketing, which is what I want to do in the long run, I knew that I wanted to go back on the program because I still wasn't done making magic, and I knew that I still had skills that I wanted to learn that I could then take into communication and guest services in future when talking to clients. So for me, it wasn't really a career break. It was more of part of the story and part of the journey. This is a good one. It says, do you book your plane tickets before or after your visa is approved? So they always tell you to book them after your visa is approved because you don't want to spend money and then lose out on it if your visa gets delayed. However, I did book mine, like it must have been a couple of days before my visa actually came through. I was just getting very close to that mark of actually having to pack up and leave the country, so I did book mine like just before. Do you need experience in serving? As I said, I had never been a server, let alone a Disney server. When you come out, if you do food and beverage instead of merchandise, you get trained. They train you in everything, and just go in there with high hopes and confidence, and you know, remember the reason why you applied in the first place. During those times where you're like, oh my God, this is a bit challenging here, like I don't know if I can do it, you can do it, and that's why Disney hired you. What does a typical workday look like on the program? This is a great question. So it depends on what time your shift starts and how long you've been on the program. So on Podium, when you first arrive, you'll be doing all of the late shifts, all of the closing shifts. And then as time goes on, you'll work your way up in seniority, and then you'll end up doing the opening shifts before you go into service. Whatever time you go in, you'll go get the bus from Disney Housing to Epcot. You'll go through cast services, and you'll then get the bus backstage through World Showcase to the UK Pavilion, or you're allowed to walk from behind Mexico through Canada to get to the UK. You'll then clock in at your allocated time. You'll press pick up assignment, and it'll tell you where you'll be making magic for those first few hours before your break. You could be beer cart, you could be stocker, fish and chip shop, etc. And then after that, you'll have your break, and then you'll pick up another assignment, and it'll tell you where you are again. And then you'll do whatever you need to do, whatever the coordinator tells you to do, you'll do it until the end of your shift. During service, it's a little bit different. Usually on my program, on my first program, we had AMs, mids and PMs. So the restaurant opened at 11 a.m. and then closed at about 9 p.m. So you'd work all day or just one half of it. Whereas on this program, we only had PMs because the restaurant did not open until 4 p.m. after COVID. So a typical day in the life of a server, I'd wake up in the morning, I'd go to a park probably before work, I'd use my main entrance pass, I'd go to a park, and then I would, have a magical time. I'd then get the monorail to Epcot, or the Disney bus or transportation over to Epcot. I'd then, get changed backstage at cast services, go to my location, clock in, get an assignment, the exact same, but instead of picking up a Podium assignment, you'd just be a server. For that whole night, you're a server in the restaurant, and as soon as you become a server, that's all you do. It's not like Podium where you rotate around and you just do service. So that's a little look at what a typical day in the life is like. What is it like when you're trying to balance burnout from being in the parks or going to work? This is so good. I love this question because on my first program, I felt like I had to be at the parks 24/7. Like I felt like I couldn't do anything else, and I wasn't able to do anything that included relaxation because I was going to run out of time. On my second program, I did a great balance of both. So I did spend a lot of mornings before work in the parks with my friends, but then the next day I'd just chill at home and watch Netflix, or I'd work on content, or I'd post on YouTube or whatever. Definitely do that bucket list, as I said, write it down, make sure you do what you want to do, but do not push yourself to burnout because it will reflect in your work and you'll find it a lot harder to do those shifts. You have to be approachable. Guests come to see you in the UK Pavilion, so you have to have that standard expectation of a Disney cast member. So just make sure that you find a good balance. Self-care, if your self-care is going to Disney, then that's fine. Just make sure you rest as well. Did it ruin the magic that you would experience on a holiday? Absolutely not. If anything, it made me respect cast members even more. Entertainment cast members, custodials, everyone. It just made me respect being part of the Disney legacy even more than I did before. And it just honestly made me see the company through different eyes. And the fact that I got to be part of that is just absolutely mind-blowing. And I feel like I got to do more things on my program than I would have done during a 2-week vacation by far. Another question that I forgot to talk about is people asked, can I bring my family with me? Can I bring my kids with me? Like, do they allow you to bring your partner, and can they live at Disney Housing? Unfortunately not. Like, Disney will not provide accommodation or space for people to come with you. It's just you. You can link up with other Disney cast members who arrive on the same date as you. If you want to be their roommate, you can put in a preference, but you cannot bring like family and friends with you from the UK to live at Disney. I've had a lot of DMs from people saying different things, such as like, I want to do it, but I don't feel like my partner will support me, or I want to do it, but I'll miss my family. Those are just things that come hand in hand with being long distance from people, and it's something that you have to do to be able to find yourself. You know, Moana goes on a journey, Rapunzel leaves her tower, all of that. You've just got to try and you've got to experience it to be able to become the person that you're meant to be. Some ways to get around homesickness are going to be FaceTime. That will be your best friend. Definitely take time to send pictures. That's a reason why I created Lauren's Floating Lights in the first place. It was to share my application process and my program with others, but especially my friends and family back in the UK. I feel like I just talked for so long, but I hope that gave you some encouragement and support towards the Disney UK Cultural Representative Program and the applications and how to do it. As I said, go to Yummy Jobs. The applications open on the 5th of February 2024. This time round, if you're watching in the future, keep checking their social media. I am sending you all the magic in the world. Please let me know of any questions in the comments and I'll do my best to answer those for you. And I hope you have a magical day. See you all soon. Bye.